Hello, my fellow comic book collectors. Today is Wednesday, and on Wednesdays I do my Q&A video where I basically answer your questions. So last week, a bunch of people wrote in the comments below saying, hey, they had some questions, and this week I answer them. If you want to have your question answered and get a shout out for your channel, well, you can put a comment below and I will answer your question. You can even also reach out to me on Instagram, and you can ask a question there as well. So and that's in the description. I put my Instagram link. So this week has some pretty amazing questions. Let's get right into them. The first question comes from Master E, the Low Grade King. I recommend you check out his channel. Sadly undersubscribed channel. He is a really good guy. He always takes up my challenge and he shows some pretty cool books. So Wednesday questions and answers are really great. Here's my question for you. Novelty Press sold all its characters and artwork to L.B. Cole. Then L.B. Cole started up Star Publications, Inc. One of Star Publications, Inc. titles was All Famous Police Cases. Why does All Famous Police Cases start with issue number 6? Was 1 through 5 a different title? If so, what was it? Well, to start off, I'm going to show you all. This is what All Famous Police Cases looks like. This is actually the last issue for the series. This is issue number 16. And it did start out with number 6. But that was not that unusual for the Golden Age, because what they would do is either they would continue a series by starting out with whatever the last number of the previous series was, or they would just start out with some later number just to show that the series had a bit of success and that it was continuing on. That, I believe, was the case with this one. I couldn't find a previous series to All Famous Police Cases. So yeah, so I couldn't find anything that was previous to it, but I did, I do have it in my collection. This one, actually, for some reason, every time I see this cover, and this is not, these books, these All Famous Police Cases, even though it's L.B. Cole art, are very inexpensive. But every time I see this particular cover, I always feel like it's the Canadian, something Canadian about it. And if you look right here, it kind of looks like, the red and then white and then maple leaf. It looks like that's a maple leaf. So it always reminds me of like a Canadian flag. I don't know why. Every time I look at it, it does that for me. So I always feel like this is the Canadian, Canadian comic. So, but yeah, there was no previous series from what I could find. And it just starts out with, number 6. And this was the last issue. It didn't run very long. So it only ran 16 issues. Next question. Dr. Sean wrote, also, what do you think about date writing or date stamps on books? Or sometimes I see like a letter D, S, or P on the cover. I'm not sure what that means, but it doesn't seem to change the grade. Yeah, for the most part, those kind of writings don't really impact the grade too much. In the high grades, maybe, but for the most grades, not really. Often people will mark like a D or S or P, and some of those are actually pedigrees that, I think the Pennsylvania, I think it's, I might be mistaken on it, it was the P. But, there were certain pedigrees that were like labeled like that way. The one I keep on seeing, which is not a pedigree, but I always see is the letter A, just A, and it's always written the same way. And I see it on a lot of books. So I think it's almost like a hidden pedigree. But a lot of kids, when they got books, they would put their names on the books so people wouldn't steal their books. And I think a lot of those letters, that's what it was. But my personal opinion about, though, I don't really like those letters on, I like the cover to be as clean as possible. I don't really like when people write on it. Date stamps, I'm sort of 50-50 on. Sometimes I've seen where they go crazy with the date stamp. I've seen some covers where they literally just cover the comic with a bunch of date stamps. But generally it's usually just one. And some people, like I've seen some books where they really do like a deliberate effort to put the date stamp in some way that it looks appropriate. It doesn't take away from the cover. Other times I've seen it just randomly placed on the cover. Yeah, I'm sort of 50-50 on it. I think it is cool because it does kind of create almost like a time capsule for that book, where you can see that you know, it was, you know, released on that particular date, and it's kind of cool that way. But yeah, it's one of those things. I'm sort of 50-50 on it because sometimes it does detract from the cover appeal. So that's kind of my opinion on it. What do you guys think about date stamps? Some people really love them. So, you know, tell me what your opinion about date stamps are in the comments below. And if you know what the other D, S, and P, you know, letters, if there's any pedigrees associated with those, tell me in the comments below. Okay. Next comes from Cole Collects. Great video, Alan. What is the hardest lesson you've learned from collecting? For example, did you overpay for a book only to realize that it was damaged, or did you trust somebody too much during a trade? There's a couple big lessons that I've learned, and they're actually kind of less about trust issues. You know, last video I was talking about the Swaggelhaus whole situation, but really the two big lessons that I learned that actually cost me much more money than sometimes you get these shady dealers that really do kind of mess you over. But the big things that I learned were being in Canada. We have a certain limit to the number of books that we have here compared to the United States. The United States got all the comics, you know, that's where they were produced. And shipping to Canada was always brutal. Like it's always brutal. I always have to deal with customs, and that actually cost me more than any kind of bad trade has ever done. And what I found was, you know, when I learned about these kind of companies that, like Stackery, the one I use, that allow you to sort of consolidate your books and then ship it to Canada. So, you know, that was such a huge change in my ability to buy books, because literally I was spending anywhere from $20 to $50 for shipping, and then dealing with customs. That was another fee on top of that. And sometimes the customs would actually charge customs on the shipping fee, because they would just say, oh, you know, the total price was $60, let's say. And then they would charge customs on that, even though most of that was shipping. So I was losing huge amounts of money. It was really limiting the ability for me to buy books, because, you know, I'd see the shipping costs and it'd be like so expensive, I wouldn't be able to do it. Often when you buy in the United States, a lot of vendors will just ship it for free. So that was a big, you know, change in my collecting, and that was huge, the impact that it had on me. The other big thing that I learned, and this is probably the biggest mistake that all collectors face, is patience. Sometimes we lack patience. We get that FOMO effect, and often that can actually be more costly than some of these other things that happen, because you end up buying books when the price is not necessarily the best. Like when it's kind of spiking, everyone's talking about it, it's the hot comic of the week, and you get all excited, you think, oh, I'm never going to get that comic, and then you buy it, and then the price drops because a whole bunch of comics come to the market. So I still have that. I still suffer from FOMO. I still get that feeling. And sometimes I'll even, like recently, I bought a book and I thought I got a really great deal on it. There's only 3 on the census, and it was a really low grade. It was a 0.5. And, you know, I actually negotiated with the vendor, because I went, you know, I checked out GPA, I checked out, you know, some various places to determine the value. So I was trying to do everything smart. And I negotiated with the guy, and I got the price down to like $250, which I thought was a reasonable price. But it was a low grade. It was 0.5. It was like missing a centerfold. It presented well though. So I was like, you know, it's in that, you know, price range that I'm willing to pay for it. And I bought it. Later, somebody else came out with, there's only 3 on the census. Another person came out with the same book in a much higher grade, and it went up for auction. And I actually paid less for the higher grade copy than I did for that initial copy. And it's one of those things, like, you know, had I just waited originally, I would have gotten the better deal. I would have, you know, seen the copy come out, and it would have been a better deal. Now, I'm always thinking about this, because would it have been the case that, you know, both books would have been on the market at the same time, and people would have saw that 0.5 grade, which was actually listed at 500 originally, and I talked them down to 250. And then if they saw that, then they would bid more heavily on the one that was it was a 1.8, the one that I bought. The other, I bought both, but the second one, and I think maybe they might have bid more on that. So maybe it worked out, maybe it didn't. I have no idea. So it's like one of those things I kind of wonder, had I not bought the other one, how would it have impacted the price of the one that I did buy, or both that I bought, if that makes any sense. So the thing is, you know, being patient, these books will come up again. You know, you might have, some of the times, like with Golden Age, and this was a Golden Age book, you don't see the books that often. And I really didn't think I would ever see that book again, because it's like only 3 on the census. So I almost own the whole census now. It's kind of weird, but I didn't think I would see it again. But you do. It's amazing how these books will come up again. And sometimes you just got to be patient, wait for that market, wait for the time that it's going down. Often what I'll do is I'll watch these hot lists, and I will avoid those books. And then I'll watch the lists where the price is dropping. Like, you know, if it's dropping like 60, 70%, then I take interest. I'll actually look at the trend line, and if I think that it can drop a bit more, I'll wait. But if I think it's hit that floor, or it actually gone below the floor on the price of that book, that's when I jump in now. So I've tried to change my my comic buying habits to be less FOMO related and more you know, practical and financially responsible. Still, I fail, but I'm trying. It's a learning curve. So the next question comes from Jerry the Jitterbug, and really great channel. Definitely check him out. He shows how to do restoration and stuff like that, and really not restoration, more conservation of books. Cool upload, Alan. Can you take a restored, you can take restored edges, trimmed book, and leaf cast the edges for a conserved grade. So that's a really cool idea. So as I said, Jerry will restore books, conserve books, I should say. I keep on saying restore. He will. So if you think about it, one of the biggest problems that happens with restoration is that if they trim the edges, well, that book is irreversible. If you think about it, it's like, it is like, you know, it's permanently damaged, and you can't often reverse that. But Jerry is recommending doing leaf casting, which is basically adding paper like that kind of blends in to the existing paper and allows you to have that kind of complete size of the book. Now, I'm not sure how well that would work for the cover, because often the thing that gets trimmed is the cover, not necessarily the paper, like the internal pages, but often it's the cover. I can think of really good examples of that, where sometimes with the cover would be actually larger than the internal pages, and just naturally so, that they would print it that way, and you get like sort of the overhang, and then people would cut off that overhang just to make it look more trimmed, and it just presents better. So that, I'm not sure how well leaf casting would work, but Jerry is a master, so maybe he could make it work. There would be a few books that if I could get it unnoticed that had been done, they would really go up in value. And literally it's like a millimeter worth of trimming that those books had, and they would probably go up like 3 or 4 times. So it'd be pretty cool if that could be done. So Jerry's question continues. What is the least expensive restored grade book you have? Well, actually it's not a really low grade, but it is this one. I got it cheaply, and it's actually a pretty cool book. It's like a pre-code horror book, Strange Suspense Stories number 21. And the restoration includes a moderate amount of color touch on the cover. And I didn't check where that is. Usually it's along the spine where they'll use like a black to kind of fill it in. It got a 5 grade. But this book sold really cheaply. It was under $100. So it's kind of my cheapest, but based on price that I paid for it, book that I picked up. And it's just it's kind of a cool pre-code horror cover where the guy's literally feeding the girl to the alligators. It looks like he's, kind of gonna push her into the crocodiles or alligators or whatever they are. You can tell me if they're crocodiles or alligators. I think it's by the eye. If one has the eye kind of popping up, other has it kind of popping down, is how you tell the difference between a crocodile and an alligator. Yeah, that's my cheapest one. It was like under $100. I got it on Heritage. Nobody bid on it. I picked it up really cheap. So that was my cheapest restored comic. I showed last week my 10 most expensive restored comics. So yeah, that's why he asked that question. Next question comes from Polly76. Hi, Alan. Have you watched Werewolf by Night yet? I really enjoyed it. Do you have any key character issues of characters from the show? Bloodstone number 1, for example, has an awesome cover. So yeah, I brought a few books to show from that are kind of related. I'm a big fan of Elsa Bloodstone and their covers. I actually enjoyed the show. I thought it was, I would give it a 7 out of 10. Like, I thought it was a little slow in parts. And I kind of would have liked it to be, in a weird way, a little bit longer, where they could have gotten into the characters a bit more. I would have liked to have learned a little bit more of the backstories to the different hunters that were involved on the show. But, I thought it was okay. I liked the way that they kind of like really paid homage to sort of these older style movies. I did overall enjoyed it. I liked Elsa Bloodstone, the girl that played her, and I also enjoyed Ted, Man-Thing. So with that in mind, I want to show you the first key that I have related to the show, which is Man-Thing number 1. Actually, I have Savage Sword, or whatever it's called, the first appearance of Man-Thing. But yeah, but this is his first title, Man-Thing number 1. First title solo series, if that makes sense. So yeah, so it actually says that. Second appearance of Howard the Duck, first Man-Thing in his own title. See, that's what it is. Yeah. And Daredevil and Black Widow cameo. So yeah, so second appearance of Howard the Duck too. That's kind of cool. Okay, so that's one book from that. And I really did like Elsa Bloodstone. So I'm going to show you my Elsa Bloodstone collection. If you like Elsa Bloodstone, there was 4 comics in the original series for Elsa Bloodstone. And they all had phenomenal covers. I'm not going to show this in order because it's just the way I put it. But here's Elsa Bloodstone number 2. And you can see they're kind of cool covers. This is, kind of a cool cover. And the good thing was I picked these up after the show kind of aired. And often that's the best time to pick things up. The price actually drops. So I picked them up fairly cheaply. I was quite happy with the prices that I paid. And this is Elsa Bloodstone number 3. Just a kind of a cool cover. So original Elsa Bloodstone was blonde-haired. In the show, she was black-haired, but you know, I kind of wish they went with the original, you know, but it's okay. You know, it's like not perfect, but yeah. I kind of wanted her to be more that sexy Indiana Jones type, but oh well. And speaking of that, number 4 is it's an homage to Indiana Jones. This is Bloodstone number 4. It's kind of a cool cover. Very, like, looks like almost like a poster, movie poster for Indiana Jones. And the last one is number 1. And it looks like almost like one of those New Moon productions, like, you know, like video, VHS, you know, straight to video, like covers. And it's like, I just really like this cover. This is my favorite from the run. I just think it's really great. So this is Elsa Bloodstone number 1. And it's her first appearance as well. So that's my, I actually have more of the keys. Like, I do, as I said, I have Man-Thing's first appearance. I have other Man-Thing, all the different keys for Man-Thing. There's a bunch. First cover, first, you know, there's like a whole bunch of different things for Man-Thing. Yeah, it's, you know, I enjoyed the series. Also, I have, what's his name? What's the other guy's name? The other character, Werewolf by Night. I have his first appearance and I have his first series and stuff like that. So obviously that's the name of the series, so, or the show. So I actually have that as well. And I actually gave it away. I have 2 copies. I gave one of them away in my 2,000 subscriber giveaway. So that's kind of cool. And it, you know, that book became super hot after that one-shot show came out. Okay, next one. Black Box Silver and Bronze asked, Alan, another great show. You answered some great questions and comments all the way to the end. My question for next week, and will just be one question, is, because he asked 3 questions last time, is regarding your favorites Wonder Woman. I've heard you mention that you have a near complete run of Wonder Woman Volume 1. Are you going for a complete run of Wonder Woman in Sensation Comics? Yes. There are 3 issues of Sensation Comics on my list, on my wish list, 10, 19, 26. Can you show them if you have them? Also, Wonder Woman 55, 70, 80, and 114. Thanks. Okay, I don't actually have those 3 Sensation Comics. I just don't have them in my collection. My collection of Sensation Comics is about 10 books. And you know, I have a couple of the key issues, and but I don't have those 3 books. It's a pretty long run. I think it ran to 106 issues. So yeah. So, but I am trying to. What I'm going to do is I'm going to finish Wonder Woman and get the complete collection of that, and then I will move on to completing the collection of Sensation Comics. So that will happen eventually. But I did bring something to show you because I'm good that way. I did bring the ones you mentioned in Wonder Woman. So here is Wonder Woman 55. And I know there's a theme for Black Box, Silver, and Bronze. He asked this because he likes train covers. These are all train covers. This is Wonder Woman 55, and it has like a ghost train and a real train, like colliding. And sorry for the big sticker on this one, and this is like she's standing on a train and it's coming through the tunnel. That's kind of one of those tropes where whenever people are standing on trains, they always seem to be going into a tunnel and they have to jump down or jump off or, get smucked by the tunnel. So that's a kind of a trope. This is Wonder Woman number 70. And then we got Wonder Woman, another train cover, Wonder Woman 81. This is a really great one. Like we got, you know, really, I like this kind of zoomed up picture of Wonder Woman and the train coming towards her. So this is a really great cover. So, and then we got Wonder Woman 114, another train cover with a monster on the train. Kind of cool. And again, you know, another trope with trains is the track is broken, and you know, the hero always has to stop the train before it goes off the tracks or off a cliff, and that's what this is. So the monster's obviously attacking the train, and she has to stop both the monster and the train from, you know, crashing. So kind of a cool cover. This is Wonder Woman 114. So those are, at least I had the Wonder Woman from the ones you asked about. Next is from JR. Great video as usual. I have another question. Hopefully it will not cause as much grief as the last one. So JR asked me a great question. I forgot what the question was, but it really forced me to dig through my collection. And I sadly complained about that. I actually don't mind digging through my collection, just so you know, JR. So don't ever worry about forcing me to dig through my collection. I enjoy kind of looking through my collection, and it gives me a chance to really see a lot of the books that are in my collection. So don't ever worry about asking me a question. How are you doing with your top 10 wish list or want list for the year? 2 months to go. Update would be cool, as we are seeing which issues you have been able to acquire so far this year. I've picked up 3 out of my 10, Hulk 102, 181, and Iron Man 1. Those are 3 nice big books, so congrats on that. Thanks for the great content. Okay, so for me, I actually have, this is my list. You're gonna laugh when you see it. But this is my list. It's like a little piece of paper, and I put little dots. So this is my top 10 list of the things that I'm looking for, and the little dot represents that I managed to get it. So my wish list, or my want list for 2022, were the following. Sunny number 12, which I did get. Crime Detective number 9, which I got twice. I actually have 2 copies of it. Sun Girl number 1, which I still haven't found. I almost bought it actually when right after I posted the video where I was saying these are my want books. I almost got it right after that, but the guy sold it 10 minutes before, you know, he offered it, and then I missed out by 10 minutes. And he was like, oh, sorry. It was like, it was kind of sad. The next one was Captain Britain number 1. Yeah, I picked that up as well. One of my subscribers said that they had it. And they also had the next one on my list, which was Wonder Woman number 2. And I picked that up as well. So those are my first 5. And then my next 5 are Funny Stuff number 1, which I picked up, which is a really big book. It's the first McSnurdle. And then Zombie Tramp number 3, I did not find. So that's still on my want list. Superboy number 5, which is the first tryout for Supergirl. I did get a copy of that. And Smash Comics number 43, which is actually right behind me. Right there. Smash Comics number 43. So I got that. And the last one that was on my wish list or want list is Police Comics number 1. So when I made the video where I was talking about my top 10 want list, I was actually bidding on Police Comics number 1. And it went through the roof. I was expecting it to go for around 5,000 to 6,000. It sold for 13,000. So I was like, oh, they just blew me out of the water. I had no hope of getting it. So out of the 10, I managed to get 7. So there's Police Comics number 1, Sun Girl number 1, and Zombie Tramp number 3 that I'm still missing. I'm still hunting for, and you never know. I got 2 more months to go. You never know. I can maybe pick them up. So, and I will do a follow-up video probably at the beginning of next year where I show how well or how successful I was at getting those books from my want list. And then I'll do another video where I'll show my want list for 2023. So stay tuned for those. Next question comes from Jonathan Cheers. Hey, Alan. I've recently discovered your channel and I've been loving your videos. See, that's the kind of comment I like. I've been loving your videos. So yeah, thank you. What are your 5 favorite Marvel characters and 5 favorite DC characters? And if you have the time, favorite cover for each. Okay, so I picked the following, and it changes. Like, I always have to say this because sometimes like I like certain characters one day and then another day maybe I like a different set of characters, because it's really hard for me to always narrow it down to 5 or 10 or whatever it is, because I'll kind of go through phases where I'll really get into a certain character, and then they'll be my favorite character for that time. And then later on, I'll be like, I'm kind of bored of that character. And then I move on to the next character. So I'm a little weird that way. But these ones, you know, I've liked for a long time. So they are all good. So I'm going to show you. I'm going to start with DC first. And one of my favorite characters is Catwoman. And my absolute favorite cover for Catwoman is one that was done by Adam Hughes. This one, Catwoman 51. It is just, I think it's sexy. I think it's cool. You know, it really captures that whole villain element of Catwoman. You know, it's a police lineup kind of thing. I think it's really great. Very sexy and cool. So this is my favorite Catwoman cover. So that's number 5. And the next one I'm going to cheat. I have to cheat because I do love a couple characters, and I have to cheat to sort of have both of these, even though really I'm just showing one. And you'll see once I show it. So this is my favorite Batman cover, but it's also my favorite Joker cover. So I really like Joker, but the next on my list is Batman, actually. So so really, I wish I could have put Joker on the list. So, but I want, you know, sort of this is my way of getting 2 characters in for the price of 1. In theory, I could say that there's Robin here, but he's not in my top 10 even. But Batman and the Joker definitely would be in my top 10 favorite DC characters. But Batman would be definitely one of my favorite characters of all time. He's just kind of the, you know, he's the superhero. Just a really awesome character. So Batman, and this is Batman number 49, which is also the first appearance of Vicky Vale and the Mad Hatter. So kind of cool book in general. I also, like, for me, a lot of the time, books that have that extra key element to them will also have that extra place in my heart. So generally I'll kind of gravitate to covers that are not only cool, but have that first appearance or something like that. So yeah, that's why I really like that book. And it's a nice Golden Age book too. Speaking of Golden Age books, the next character on my list is Wonder Woman. This is probably my number 1 favorite DC character, actually, Wonder Woman. And this is my favorite cover for her, Wonder Woman number 1. And it's just, this is a grail for me. This is like, I look at this book and I'm like, do I really own that? That's such a cool book. So yeah, so this is Wonder Woman number 1, you know, first Wonder Woman series. So kind of cool book. Really love this book. So Wonder Woman number 1. Next one is The Flash. And I picked this book because I really, really like this book. Because it showcases both the Flash from the Golden Age and the Flash from the Silver Age. And I just kind of like it. So this is Flash 123. And it's the first crossover between the 2 versions of the Flash. I really like it. I actually like the old school Flash because it's his helmet is just so silly, and you know, it's just a little bit, you know, kind of a sillier kind of outfit and stuff, and I kind of like that. I actually like that kind of more simplistic version of the Flash in a way. So yeah, this is Flash 123. I just really love that cover. And I actually, when I bought that book, I knew that it was a key to a certain extent, but I really bought it based on the cover. I really liked the cover. I just thought it was such a cool cover. Okay, and the last one, and I kind of had to put this on my list, even though maybe it kind of would not necessarily be my top 5, but kind of can go up and down on that list. And that was what I was explaining before. Sometimes I really like a character. Sometimes I, kind of get a little bit tired of a character or like them less, but still love them. I just, you know how it is. You go through phases, right? Well, this character is my son's favorite, and I had to put him on the list for that reason. This is Swamp Thing, his first appearance, but it's also the best cover. Probably actually one of the best DC covers of all time. I love this cover. I just think it's the greatest cover. It tells a story. It's just a brilliant cover. This is House of Secrets 92. And it's just a Bernie Wrightson cover. Just a brilliant cover. I just love this cover. I just think it's the greatest cover. I really wanted this one in my collection. And I was super excited to get this one as well. So this is just a really phenomenal cover. I just like the good girl art of the woman. And I just like the way the monster's kind of coming in through the background and in through the window kind of thing. Just a really great cover. I go on about this cover all the time. So definitely one that's one of my favorite covers of all time even. Okay, next one is Marvel. So my top 5 Marvel. And the first one is Doctor Strange. This is Strange Tales 169, I believe. Like it says Doctor Strange 169, but really it's Strange. They continued the numbering on, which is kind of weird. But so yeah, so this is like, Doctor Strange, I don't know why, but they always underplayed him in terms of the cover. They never put him on the cover properly. His first kind of major cover was with Fantastic Four. I think it's Fantastic Four 25 or something, or 26, somewhere around there. And, even in that, he's in the background. And he's in green. He's just like fully green. They didn't really flesh him out very well. And then before that, his first cover appearance, he's like, just like a head. That's it. It's kind of funny that they never really did much with the him on the cover until this book, which is much, much later after he appeared. I mean, he appeared like in 110. This is like 59 issues later. It's just like, what were they thinking? But it's just such a great cover. I really like this cover. Doctor Strange is a character I really, really like. I actually was a big, big fan of the cartoon movie that they made about him, their animated movie about him. Thought that was amazing. Just a great movie. Yeah, Doctor Strange. So that's Doctor Strange. Okay, so next one. One sec here. I gotta kind of readjust stuff over here. Is one sec here. Gotta move things around here. Is the Hulk. Another great cover. I actually like this cover of all the Hulk ones. There's a couple other Hulk covers that I really like. But this one, not only because it's #1, Hulk #1, it's, that's cool and all. But this has been homaged many times. It is just a cool cover where you get that transformation. And, I like when they do this kind of thing on the cover where they kind of introduce the character. And it's like, is he a man or is he a monster? I love that kind of stuff. I just think that's really cool. And I just really enjoy this cover. So this is Hulk #1, another big character that I like. Okay, next. And these aren't in order. So if you're thinking that these are top 10 or top 5 in order, they're not. This would actually probably be my #1 character. This is Amazing Fantasy #15, first appearance of Spider-Man, and also by far the greatest Spider-Man cover. This has been homaged a million times. You know, it is just such a great cover. And you know, if I was a kid back in the 60s and I saw this, I would just instantly fall in love with the character. Like, without even reading the story, just this cover is just so great. It just really shines. This is a Jack Kirby cover, and it's just a phenomenal cover. You know, really great. So this is Amazing Fantasy number 15. First appearance of Spider-Man, and also my favorite Spider-Man cover. Another one that I really like is, I believe, 13, which is with Mephisto. Not Mephisto. What's his name? Mysterio. Mephisto. Yeah, Mysterio. I like that cover too. That cover really appeals to me. But I really do. Amazing Fantasy number 15 is by far the best Spider-Man cover. Next one is Doctor Doom. So Doctor Doom is just such a great character. And I really like this cover, again, because it's another one, you know, it's his first appearance. Again, that has a little bit more sway in terms of how I feel about the character. I mean, Doctor Doom, you pretty much put him on any cover. Just having him on the cover, somehow the cover becomes great. Something about Doctor Doom, he just makes covers look cool. But this one I really like. I don't know why. Maybe it's the fact that it's in this weird portal thing. And these guys are all in like this chamber where they're basically being suffocated. And there's a whole story going on there in this. And you're kind of wondering, how did they get into this situation? It's also a bondage cover. And, you know, I like my good girl bondage. So you got Sue Storm, and she's in bondage. That's cool. So a little bit of a bonus. So this is Fantastic Four number 5. First appearance of Doctor Doom, and character I like, cool cover too. Okay, last one. And I was really debating about this one in terms of, is this my favorite cover? But there's something about this cover that I do actually like. It's not the most valuable cover for this character, but it is a cover there's a certain weird charm to it for me. This is Wolverine, and Wolverine's the character that I like. And it's Wolverine number 8, and it's the Mr. Fix-It cover. And it's just something about this, just very simple, but something is just so like stylish about it. I just really like this cover. So this is, you know, Wolverine number 8. I have bigger books for Wolverine, but this one I really like the cover for. And you get a bonus with this cover because it's a cool back cover. You got them kind of doing the whole Wolverine thing on the back. So it's, you know, you got bonus cover on this one. So definitely a cool cover for me. So this is Wolverine number 8. And the character Wolverine would be my number 5, or for that one. Okay, so those are my 5 Marvel, 5 DC books. I hope you enjoyed that. And last but not least, Jay West wrote, "Hi Alan, do you have any Treasury edition or oversized comics? If so, what are a few favorites you have?" Okay, so I brought a few. And we're going to start out with this one. I don't have many of those really big comics. Maybe for the same reason a lot of other people don't have those big ones, because they do take up space and you're really hard to store them. Like, where do you put these big books? But this one I do have, and I do love it. I do think it's one of my favorite DC covers again. Like, this is like a really cool cover. I just think it's awesome. And it is a Neil Adams cover. And it's also this huge book. This is Superman versus Muhammad Ali. I just think this is a nice little time capsule. I think it's a cool cover. You know, Muhammad Ali is considered to be one of the greatest athletes of all time. Just a really cool character. I like the fact that you have all these people, you know, there's Jimmy Carter, there's Batman here. You know, all the people in the audience watching. I just think it's really cool. And it's a wraparound cover. So they really do show a full audience of people watching this battle. And it's just a really great cover. I just think it's a great cover. So this is a very cool book. So yeah, Superman versus Muhammad Ali. Another series that had some really, really big covers in terms of size. They're almost like magazines. And I can't take it out of the plastic. I'm sorry, I have to keep it in the plastic. Is Foom. And Foom, I actually have a bunch of Foom. But this one is my favorite, strangely, because it's Howard the Duck. And it's Howard the Duck being president. I just think that's cool. He's doing this whole Uncle Sam routine. And a bit almost like Richard Nixon, too, because he's doing the whole, almost like, it looks like Richard Nixon a little bit. So this is from 1976, too. So it's kind of a cool book. This is Foom number 15. And it's just a really cool book. Also, there's an introduction to Captain Britain on this as well. So it's just kind of a cool book. Foom number 15. I just really like it. Nice Howard. I'll zoom in so you can see Howard the Duck. Okay. So, and who did the cover on that one? Gene Cohen and Steve Liotta cover. Probably brutalized that other guy's name, but oh well. I tried. And the last one, and this is a magazine. I do admit this is, I know this is a magazine. You're going to say, oh, it's a magazine. I know it's a magazine, but it's a cool comic. Okay. And I really like this one. I think it's really cute. I think it's really cool. And this is Mickey Mouse Magazine number 2, volume 4, number 2. And it's the first cover appearance of Huey, Dewey, and Louie. And I just think it's a really great cover. I just think it's so cute. I just think it's cool. I just really like it. So this is the third one on my list. So those are 3 oversized books that I have. Not Treasury editions or anything like that, but definitely cool books that I have in my collection that are kind of the oversized. And there's a few others that I have, but, those are kind of my favorite. So I hope you enjoyed all these answers and questions that people asked, and I hope people liked my answers to them. If you enjoy this kind of content, I recommend you actually watch my other Q&A videos. They're all linked together, so you can definitely check them out. And there's some really cool things that I've shown in the past. So I recommend you watch my older videos. And if you have a question that you want answered, put it in the comments below, and I will do my best to answer it. So thanks again for watching. Bye for now.